When an ID card is used, there's a record of it.
Hold it. Let it be noted that this is the record the witness referred to.
Let me see. Yes, that would be it. Detective Goodman.
What's the matter?
According to this, Mr. Edgeworth, your name is on here.
So it is, Your Honor.
Not that prosecutor again.
Hey, maybe he's behind all this. Being a prosecutor, he could hide the evidence.
Mommy, is that man in blue a murderer?
Shh! Don't stare at him!
You've got the wrong color, kid.
It would seem the inquiry committee will want to speak with you again today.
I have nothing to be ashamed of regarding my actions, or their consequences. For now, let us continue with the cross-examination.
Poor Mr. Edgeworth. It must be so difficult for him.
At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card.
Hold it! Earlier, I believe you testified that when you asked the man to show his ID card, he pulled a knife on you.
Yes, sir. He didn't show me any ID card, sir.
Don't you think that's odd? I mean, if he had his ID card, all he had to do was show it to you. There wouldn't be any reason to draw a knife.
Maybe he just panicked?
Objection! Wait one moment, Officer Meekins.
I'm not good at waiting, sir.
I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene.
That makes sense.
When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card.
A lost item report? It's only half completed.
But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe this something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card.
Order! Order! So now, what does this all mean?
It can only mean one thing. Doesn't require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card.
Order! 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 Does the prosecution have a response?
I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo. Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 on the day of the crime, the man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is... well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. This isn't good. Well, well. It seems you finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove.
Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth.
The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake. which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime.
So
So the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Ms. Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. Ah! I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning.
the activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman.
Just so, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, you have to do something, or else Lana...
What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? Objection! One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing, and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter.
Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor?
If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand.
Mr. Wright, do you mean...
Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness.
Oh, whom do you have in mind?
Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify, what is his or her name?
Take that! Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let him know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare.
Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time?
We will, Your Honor.
Court in recess.